We launched Uber Assist and Uber Access today. What these are specially designed vehicles or trained drivers to provide access to people with special needs. So could be elderly people, could be disabled people, on wheelchairs. And over the last year or so, we've been working with emphasis, and we've got 500 plus cars and 500 driver partners who are trained to assist people with special needs. So, if somebody has a wheelchair, assisting them in the car, getting the wheelchair stored, helping them out of the car and go to any destination. So that is Uber Assist. What we've also going to be launching shortly, and we're beginning that, is Uber Access, which is specially designed or different vehicles than a typical Uber, which could also take a forward-facing wheelchair. And it'll have a lift, it'll have a ramp for somebody to come up to the vehicle side, go inside, but a forward-facing wheelchair. So it's one step towards providing mobility access to a wider set of people, and sometimes people who did not have many options for travel.
And you're starting this in Bangalore or across India. How's it going to work out in terms of the number of vehicles as well that you have at this
So Bangalore is the first city that we're doing it in, but we will expand to other cities as well. And the 500 driver partners that we have today is just a beginning, and we expect to grow this much more over the next few months.
Right. We were just discussing, and it's been 2.5 years since you took charge of Uber India. How has it been, Amit, these last 2.5 years? Has it stabilized now compared to the cutthroat competition we were seeing, say, a year back? There were also some uncertainties on the regulatory front. From then to now, where is Uber India today? And what does it mean, in the global scheme of things for Uber?
Yeah, so I'll answer that a couple of ways, Chandra. I think so. It's been a 4-year journey for us in India,
right?
And we've come a long way. Our vision is to provide reliable transportation for everywhere and to everyone. And we are just getting started in our journey there, even though we've seen exponential growth and a rapid development over the last 4 years.
Right.
The way we see our growth and business is, of all the rides done in a city, we are about 1% of the rides today. So we're just in the very beginning of our vision and journey. Today we've got cities which have private car ownership that are utilized for less than 5%, that occupy 20 to 25% of a city's parking spaces.
Right.
Imagine a world where that 20 to 25% space is designed for people, and your cars are utilized 80%, 100%, and not one person in a car, but multiple people in a car. So we envision a world where you've got ride sharing in the truest form across all cities. That will benefit riders, it will benefit driver partners and our cities. So yes, it's been a fantastic 4-year journey, but we're just getting started.
And in terms of market share, where are you today? I mean,
I just said 1%. We're 1% of the total rides that happen in a city, and that's our market share, because you've got people who have private cars, which is utilized for less than 5%.
What would you say the competition's market share?
Competition is private car ownership, and all other forms of transport, that is 99%.
Not the other on-demand aggregators here.
So again, it's the opportunity for transforming our cities, and this space is so big. That's the total market. And competitors in our space are good. They keep us aggressive, they keep us honest, they keep us make sure that we provide the best service. It's always good to have competition.
Always good to have competition. I remember when Travis, was here the last time around. He said that the 3 Bs are what excites him. Bay Area, Beijing, and Bengaluru. With Travis Kalanick no longer in the CEO seat or the driver's seat, so to speak, how have those priorities changed for Uber India? Because when he was there, India was, very much at the forefront of Uber's plans, constant mention of these 3 Bs, so to speak. How has that changed in the last 3 months?
Our direction in India, our strategy in India, Uber's commitment to India, our willingness to invest has absolutely not changed at all.
In terms of budget, resources, capital?
There's been absolutely no change, right? So our mission, our direction, our journey in India stays absolutely unchanged over the CEO transition. India is an absolutely strategic market for Uber. You know, we are one of the countries with the highest rides across 80 plus countries that we look across the world. So the strategic importance of India has not changed. That direction hasn't changed, and our commitment hasn't changed.
When can we expect the new CEO to visit India?
You know, I had a conversation with him 2 weeks back, and he said he will try to do his best, but I didn't get a timeline.
So should we be hopeful of both of you in India? I mean, him coming to India sometime soon?
Absolutely. We are working on that.
Right. And if I look at the market dynamic itself, Amit, it's turning out to be very interesting because even if you don't want to get into specifics, your competitor Ola has raised money from SoftBank. Now globally there is talk of Uber also raising money from SoftBank. What will this mean as far as the market dynamic is concerned? Because in a sense you have two players funded by a common investor. What does it mean?
That's a great question for SoftBank. So if you I'm happy to hear what they say.
Right, but when you have a situation where you have two equally well capitalized players, does it all then boil down to local execution, local innovation? What will the differentiator be for a player to become dominant, to sort of score an edge over its rival?
See, capital is one thing. You've got to provide a service that is the best in class, and you got to provide that service at the lowest possible cost. So a service that's best in class from a rider perspective as well as from a driver partner perspective. And a rider perspective, it's the entire gamut of when a rider, he or she opens the app, to ETAs, to the actual ride, to the experience with the driver, and any post-trip support. For the driver partner, it's everything from the first time he comes to our green light centers for onboarding to every trip to any support experience. So as you look at that, it's got to be the most seamless and the best experience possible, and we've got to do it in a way, or anybody's got to do it in a way that's the lowest cost possible. So capital is one element, but you've got to have the best quality product at the cheapest price.
And what are the challenges where you see what has really worked for you, and what are you working on, the gaps, so to speak, that you think can be improved upon or can be better, the difference that we will see, say, over the next 6 months to 1 year?
See, again, it's as we talked about, we are still very early in our journey, right? So what you will expect to see is a continued focus on our core business. What you will expect to see is how do we get better at the services that we provide. And if you're only 1% of the total rides, we've got a 100x opportunity. And we've got to continue to get better. We've got to continue to make it more affordable for different segments of riders. We've got to make it continue to be more attractive for different driver partners who have different expectations. So you will see a continued focus on a core business, and you will see us double down to say how can we even make it an even better experience for the riders, drivers at price points that are attractive.
And will you focus on the current cities where you're present? Will you focus to more cities, more forms of transport, I mean other vehicles as well apart from your cars? What kind of changes can we
might do that. We might get into a few more cities, but we are very happy with our penetration of cities, and you will not see an expansion to many more cities. On a products perspective, we continue to explore, innovate different products. Uber Moto is something that we launched a while back and have scaled it. Uber Eats is another business that we've launched and scaled it across multiple cities. So you will see us launching more products, but from a city perspective, we'll probably be in the cities that we are in, maybe a couple more.
Right. In fact, I was just coming to Uber Moto. It hasn't taken off as much as one would have expected, also because of different regulations in different states. In Karnataka itself, we saw problems with Uber Moto. I think it's active in Hyderabad now. So how will all this really impact your plans going forward? Do you still feel that there is a lot of ambiguity because the center thinks in one way, the states operate in a different way, the transport authorities of each state, or are you seeing that becoming better?
It's we are in a space and most spaces are similar, where innovation far outstrips the pace of change of regulation. So when we came to India, or for many other countries for that matter, there were no regulations that governed our space because our space was very new. Right. We've got the Motor Vehicles Act of '88, which was written before the internet came, which was written before any service like Uber came. So there will always be a lag in regulations that follow innovation. We've had
regulations will always follow.
Sorry, regulations will always follow innovation. We've had some great conversations with the central government. They came out with guidelines last December, and there's an amendment to the Motor Vehicles Act that is pending in the Parliament. It's been passed by the Lok Sabha, but pending in the Rajya Sabha. So we expect that, and we're hopeful that that will pass as well. So conversations with the center, conversations with various state governments, but very optimistic about our conversations, because at the end of the day, every government wants to do something that benefits society. And in our case, we've got millions of riders, hundreds of thousands of driver partners on our platform every week. Plus, if we can enable true ride sharing, it can fundamentally transform our cities. So it's a conversation with various states, and they're at the different levels. But we're excited about how those conversations are going.
And Uber Eats is, something else that we saw kicking off in India. How has the response been so far?
It's been amazing. So Uber Eats has been a phenomenal business for us. We are in 5 cities, and we launch in other cities as well. We've been very, very impressed with the growth in India, and it's a business that is doing very well for us globally as well.
Right. Amit, one other issue, of course, is something that keeps getting argued, the incentives for drivers. We keep seeing protests happening on and off, because initially it was really lucrative when this business started. Now people say that maybe not so much. How do you really rationalize this? How will it pan out going forward?
Yeah, it's very simple, right? It is, we'll have driver partners on our platform. If their net take-home earning after all expenses, so the EMI of a car, their fuel expenses, their maintenance expenses, is a better alternative than what they have elsewhere. And that is, we have to have that level of earnings.
Right.
And earnings can be a combination of organic earnings, which is the rider pays, plus incentives. Because if we don't have that, then we don't have a business.
Right.
So that's the ground level. At the same time, you got to keep rider prices low, because if rider prices go too high, then you will not take an Uber, and then you'll continue to think about buying another car. So it's that balance of how do you keep it attractive enough for a rider, where it's the cheapest, most convenient alternative, but at the same time you're providing a means of livelihood for the driver partner that is attractive. So it's that balance, and you'll continue to see that balance, and that that balance being happening over time.
And profitability, is that on the anvil anytime soon, or will the focus be on growth and sort of capitalizing on the position that you have in the market now?
See, it's both growth and profitability. At the end of the day, we are a business, and we will look to be profitable. At this time, we are not, and we continue to invest in the market.
And where will this investment come from? I mean, I know you spoke about, perhaps going to more cities and more products, but broadly, what's the thinking here? What is India going to be for Uber? Apart from the scale on the technology side, do you see, scope for perhaps expanding your engineering center, or, because of the technical talent here? Just want to understand where your broad priorities are going to be for India.
So, I mean, you touched upon one key one, right? Engineering is absolutely key.
Right.
We opened our Bangalore engineering center a year back. It was the first one in Asia, and we've continued to expand that, and have very aggressive plans for expansion there. We had a center of excellence in Hyderabad, and now we've got a center of excellence in Bangalore as well. So a support center which supports our riders and drivers, and we'll continue to expand that. We talked about some of the new products that we'll be launching. So you will continue to see investment in engineering, investment in our support, investment in any new products. and then to grow our current product, there's always investment that is required there. Right? How do you continue to provide a better service? So it's across these 4 areas that you'll continue to see investment.
Right. Final couple of questions. I mean,
Yeah.
globally as well, we are seeing a huge shift to electric vehicles. The Indian government is also pushing that.
Yes.
How will this again change your strategy going forward? Just the final couple.
No, electric vehicles are here to stay, and it's the right thing for the world, and it's something that needs to happen across all countries. Different countries are in different stages of this journey, because there's a couple of elements involved. There's the vehicle, and then there's the infrastructure for charging, and you got to have both those to get these vehicles at scale.
Right.
So it's something that's very important to us, and it's something that we'll continue to partner with governments and other bodies that are taking the forefront in terms of innovation to have more and more electric vehicles on our platform.
Right. And my final question, something that's been in the news for the last few weeks is this new lobby of Indian players who want to sort of protect Indian companies from the onslaught of global rivals. What do you really make of this? Is there a case there, or do you think they are funded by foreign players themselves? So what's the...
See, I mean, we are, and as Uber India is as Indian a company as any of the other players. So it's not something I even think about.